Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money. With your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's Tom here with episode 392 of Screw the Commute podcast. I'm here with Nikki Nash. Her mission at Market Your Genius is to help 1,000 women build $1 million business by 2030. Now, if you're a female entrepreneur and you want to get off the revenue roller coaster, keep it simple, Sista. She's going to tell you about that a little in a moment. Hope you didn't miss episode 391. On that episode, I broke my own rules, not only once, but twice. And I was talking about a relatively new social media outlet called Clubhouse. And Nikki and I and a bunch of our friends are going to be hosting a room there. And so do what you can. Listen to that episode. Do whatever you can to get on there because it's really up and comer. All right, how would you like to hear your own voice here on Screw the Commute? Well, if the show's helped you out at all in your business or given you ideas to help you start a business, we want to hear about it. Visit screwthecommute.com. Look for a little blue sidebar that says send a voicemail. Click on it, talk into your phone or computer, tell me how the show has helped you, and hey, put your website in there so you can get a big shout out in your own voice on a future episode of Screw the Commute. Now, pick up a copy of our automation ebook. This book, we actually estimated it a couple years ago that just one of the tips in this book has saved me 7.5 million keystrokes. I know Nikki's into automation too. She puts me to shame, but a lot of the things that I use have helped me steal customers ethically from other people because they're too darn slow to get back to people, and it'll save tons of your workload. So pick that up at screwthecommute.com/automate free, screwthecommute.com/automate free. And while you're at it, pick up a copy of our podcast app at screwthecommute.com/app. That's APP, where you can put it on your cell phone and tablet, take us with you on the road. We have videos on how to use it. You know how people give you an app and you're supposed to figure it out. You know, us old farts can't do it. So we give you videos and screen captures so you can really use all the cool features on the road. All right, now I know people were freaking out because of this pandemic still with schools and the kids, trying to learn on Zoom and the parents either quitting their job or don't have a job. Well, my students and myself don't think in those terms because we can sell from home. I've been doing it since the commercial internet started in 1994 and been teaching it for over 22 years. And it's the skills that you have here can open up the entire world for you because you're not stuck going to an office all day. So whatever happens in the world, you can still sell stuff. Now, about 13 years ago, I formalized this training in the form of a school. It's the only licensed dedicated internet marketing school in the country, probably the world. It's imtcva.org, and it's certified to operate by SCHEV, the State Council on Higher Education in Virginia. But you don't have to be in Virginia. It's distance learning. And what cracks me up is all these universities that are bloated and trying to grab more money off of kids or throwing distance learning class. Oh, we're distance learning now. Yeah, well, I've been doing it since the beginning, and mine is good. Theirs isn't. And also, you go into deep debt with the 4-year traditional college, and then you get out with an MBA, and you're competing for jobs at Starbucks. So we don't like that. So check it out at imtcva.org. And a little later, if you're in my mentor program, you get a scholarship to the school, which you can either use yourself or gift to someone. And it's the best legacy gift you could ever give someone in your life, grandchildren, nephews, nieces, because they won't be coming home and living in your basement because they'll have actually a career that somebody wants. All right, let's get to the main event. Nikki Nash is a Hay House author, and that is a big deal, folks. She's a podcast host and a business advisor who equips entrepreneurs with the support and resources they need to share and profit from their message. She's a recognized expert in marketing and business strategy, and her insights have been featured in Business Insider, Forbes. This one gets me. BossBabe, and I got to tell you, one of her pictures she sent me was she's sitting on a block of wood, And I'll tell you what, I wouldn't mess with this lady. She is a boss babe for sure. And she's been in lots of other media outlets. So let's bring her on. Nikki, are you ready to screw
I
the commute?
am all day.
Oh, you're one of those. Great.
No. I know I can mess with you, Tom. I feel like we can do all sorts of fun.
I'm
on this
quite
show.
messable. That's for sure. So tell everybody what you're doing now. Then we'll take you back and see how you came up through the ranks, because I know you had that dreaded job for a long time, and you got out of that mess. So tell them what you're doing, and then we'll take you back.
Yeah. So right now I have a membership site. That's my business model, where I help entrepreneurs turn their experiences, their expertise into a profitable business, and walk them through my processes, frameworks, all that jazz to help them, stop thinking or dreaming about building a business, or to stop being stuck for a lot of folks that have already gotten started and really just move forward. And so I do that through the membership site. I also will do events and private coaching and consulting, and just wrote a book that comes out in August. So I'm super excited about that.
What's the title?
It's called Market Your Genius. I keep
Market Your Genius.
Keep it simple to remember.
Keep it simple. Yeah. So that's one thing I noticed about you when I was looking over all your stuff. You're into keeping it simple, including one thing you were suggesting to the entrepreneurs you help is to focus on one product. And it's kind of foreign to me because I have about 400 products, and I focus on one at a time, but I do have multiple products. But you want people to focus on one and really get good at it, right?
Yeah, especially at the beginning. And it's more for my entrepreneurs. Usually when I'm working with them, they haven't quite hit the 6-figure mark, and they have dreams of being, multimillionaires. And I'm listening to them, and they have 5 billion ideas, and they're trying to do all of them at once.
Right.
And I'm like, focus on one. Like, you've got one product, and I want you to focus on it for a year. And when you have system structures, profitability, magic happening, then you can work on the next one and the next one. And then you can have multiple, and again, focus on one at a time. But for so many people, it's having the idea of focusing on one at a time when none of them have been proven to work doesn't work either.
Yeah, right. And then you've seen both sides of the coin, because you worked in big companies, and yeah, they have the resources that do a lot of things at once, and people want to emulate that, but that's the kiss of death instead of the keep it simple Sista in a small company.
Yeah, absolutely. And I joke, and I'm pretty sure I put this in my book, but I said, trying to do what the big companies do is like me trying to run a race against an Olympic athlete. Like, like, oh yeah, you're track and field gold medalist. Let's run this race and see how I do. It's just a terrible idea.
So one of the tips that I gleaned from looking through your stuff is that you like people to have very specific revenue goals, not just I want to be a multimillionaire, right?
Yeah, because I think for so many people, and I've been there, and I've been this person that goes, okay, you know what? I want to write a book someday, or I want to be a multimillionaire, or I want, to speak on stages. And it's just, when it's not super specific, it almost becomes in the land of this will happen someday. But when you have a very specific goal, whether it's a revenue goal or, I want to write a book and get it traditionally published or self-published or start a podcast, when you have a specific goal and you even set timing around it, then you can start working backwards and figure out, okay, what's the step I need to take now? And you can ask yourself, are the actions I'm taking in alignment with this goal? And it puts more focus on it, as opposed to saying, I want to be a multimillionaire. Okay, well, what does that mean? Like, there are varying degrees of being a multimillionaire. Yeah. And also, do you mean personally? Do you mean your business? Are we talking profit? Are we talking revenue? So I really encourage people to get as specific as possible so that they know where it is that they're going.
That must be what I messed up, because I wanted to be an international playboy, and I just didn't do the steps properly, I guess. Or maybe I'm just ugly. Maybe that is it. I'm not sure.
No, I mean, I don't know. Hugh Hefner wasn't, all that in a bag of chips. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So going deeper on the your KISS principle, your grandmother even had you doing this, right?
Yeah, my grandmother lived with my family and I growing up, and she used to say, KISS. And I'd be like, what does that mean, Grandma? And she'd be like, keep it simple, stupid. And I guess I just, as a kid, would overcomplicate things. And so in my business, I tell people, I'm a little bit more, I guess, lovey-dovey than my grandmother, who was very, I mean, I'm still sarcastic, but she was very sarcastic. And so I tell people to keep it simple, Sista, so that I can still tell them to kiss. But it's like, yo, Sista, keep it simple. You are overcomplicating things. You're trying to do too many things. And that's why you're not moving forward.
Yeah. Now you are concentrating on female entrepreneurs, right?
It's funny. I would say yes and no. I work with men, so I
Sure.
never
Yeah.
want.
That's how it always comes out. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I absolutely do. It's just I would say that the majority of my audience tend to be female. And so I just like, hey, let me just, say it to them, and then I change it to keep it simple, sir, when it's a guy.
Yeah. Nobody calls me sir. I'll tell you that. They would go revert to stupid.
Yeah.
So I've heard you say marketing is like dating.
Yes. Would you like me to tell you a little bit about that?
That's why I brought it up.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. I figured, Tom, I figured. You know, one of the things that pisses me off, for lack of a better word, in the marketing world is that I feel like some people are so, for lack of a better way of describing it, like desperate or enthusiastic for clients and customers that they forget that their client and customers are people.
Hmm.
And so I'll have these experiences, and I feel like other people have had them, where you're on Facebook and somebody sends you a friend request, and you're like, I don't know who the heck they are, but they seem cool. And we have friends in common. So you accept them. And then next thing you know, they're like, hi, join my Facebook group. Or hi, I looked you up and I feel as though I can help you with my services. I'm going to help you get to 6 figures. I'm going to help you get to 7 figures. I'm like, clearly you don't know me, because you would know that I've hit those milestones and maybe we could be, I don't know, friends or collaborate. But like I feel like people are just so, hey, I need this. You're a person or somebody who may be able to pay me. So I'm just going to kind of go out and say, hey, buy my stuff or take this action. And I'm like, that's the equivalent of going up to somebody in the bar and saying, hey, you want to get married? And you've never met them before in your life. Right. And so to me, I use this analogy when I used to teach digital marketing classes. And it's just like, think of your marketing, and even to a certain degree, your sales, your marketing and sales strategy, as if you were dating someone. And when I was dating, especially in my early 20s, I lived in New York City at the time, and this was, online dating was a thing, but not really as big of a thing. And we would go out and we'd go to a bar or a club or wherever the heck we were going, or a house party. And we would get all dolled up and we'd choose a specific place that we believed that our ideal mate or partner would be. And then we'd go there and, be all dolled up and try to capture somebody's attention. And, I always laugh when I think back on it, because despite the fact that I have no problem being visible, I was a very shy person, and I have like shy tendencies.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
It's like nobody believes me.
Like
and I'm
I
like,
believe
I promise
that.
you.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, ask my best friend, because we would go into a bar and I would just be like, that guy's cute. And my best friend would be like, go up and talk to him. And I'd be like, I can't do it. And so she's like, well, crap. So she would just go up there and then start a conversation and then drag me along or something like that. Or I would, accidentally bump into somebody like, oh, excuse me. That was not an accident, but I'm going to pretend it was an accident, just to spark a conversation. And so when you're building a business, you need to be where your people are, and then do something. If you're online, you need to stop them from scrolling. So you need something, whether it's a headline or a photo or something that's going to capture their attention. Or if you're in person and you're speaking on stage or you're at a networking event, you need to, capture somebody's attention, spark that conversation, ideally get digits, like exchange that contact information, and then you go on dates. And that's the same thing with marketing. It's like, you got to show up, you got to capture somebody's attention, you got to get their contact information if they're interested in continuing to talk to you. And then you essentially date them until, as my grandmother used to say, they're ready, and you're ready to piss or get off the pot. Like you're either like, all right, are we going to do this thing? Are we going to work together? Or are you going to buy my product or service? Or are you not? Dating should be the equivalent of giving the potential client or customer everything that they need to say yes or no to your offer. And so I'm like, if you just think of it as dating, it humanizes the experience a little bit more. You realize, oh, okay, oh, did I actually build a relationship with this person before I asked them for, 10 grand or something? Or did I just walk up to them and go, hi, nice to meet you. Can I have your credit card, please? So,
So, when they come up to me and say, I can help you reach six figures, I'm thinking you talking about my waist or what? Yes. Like, I'm already on my way. Leave me alone. Uh, but your method sounds to me like, quote, the genius method.
yes.
You ever hear of that?
I have heard of that. And it's funny because I call this dating, it's my just like dating method. And then it's a method within a method, because as marketers, what I realized going to an event, and I went to a marketing event, this guy was speaking on stage, and I whipped out my notebooks. I'm like, I'm going to get so much magic out of this. And I'm like writing everything this guy was saying. And I didn't really listen. Like, I was listening, but I wasn't really listening. I was too busy taking notes. And I go back and look at the notes and I realize, I know all this stuff. He just packaged it in a really cool way, or in a unique way, right? And so the genius method is my packaged way of saying, hey, there are, kind of 5 P's, for lack of a better word, like 5 things that you need to properly like build a business from your experiences, your expertise, make it profitable, and become the next best thing since sliced bread. And so it's really about having that clear purpose and vision for your business, really being clear on your positioning in the marketplace so that you can differentiate yourself, you can stand out, people know the problem you solve, like people get who you are and how you can help them. You have a plan for how you're going to profit from this. And I really like to use profit because so many people focus on revenue. And I'm like, cool, that's great that you made 6 figures or 7 figures, but you spent 6 or 7 figures, so you're actually broke. Like, So profitability, platform, which is like audience building or community building, and then performance, and really figuring out like, how is everything that I'm doing performing? How can I optimize? How can I automate? How can I scale? Like, what are the things I can do to increase our performance so that we're growing year over year over year?
See,
So
that's the KISS principle. I'm going to boil this down for our listeners. You just take 1 P at a time.
exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
All right. Let me take you back. Were you an entrepreneurial little girl, or were you from an entrepreneurial family, or what?
So it's funny. Both my parents are doctors, and my dad worked for a hospital, and my mom was in private practice, and she never considered herself an entrepreneur. But I'm like, but you had a business,
right?
Like,
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I would say like, yes, but I don't think my parents ever considered themselves entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of, was I into this stuff as a kid? Yes, but I was never successful. And I don't think I didn't realize that I was being entrepreneurial. So when I was in middle school, I distinctly remember I used to volunteer at a, oh my goodness, what's the nice way of saying old people's home? What are they called?
Old farts home.
Okay, yeah, one of those. I was like, where do people send?
That's where I live. Yeah, so
So Tom's house.
Yeah.
So I was, volunteering at Tom's house, and no, seriously, I was volunteering, and there was this elderly woman who had all of these little boxes, and she just liked to buy little, like they were probably cardboard, like little boxes, jewelry boxes, and she would paint these really beautiful paintings or pictures on them. And I thought they were so cool. And I said, she's like, I have so many, I don't know what I'm going to do with them. And I said, I'm going to sell them for you, right? And I like went out into the world thinking that who could resist a little kid selling pretty boxes for an elderly woman? And it's like, apparently a lot of people could resist the urge because I didn't sell them.
If they were Girl Scout cookies,
right? Yeah. Girl Scout cookies, I would have been fine. I was a Girl Scout, so I did at some point sell Girl Scout cookies. But it's just one of those things where I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't really realize at the time that I needed to maybe, figure out what's the market need and demand and target audience.
And that poor lady died in despair. Yeah.
Crush me, Tom. Just crush me.
All right. So did you go the traditional school route? High school, college, work? How'd you come through?
Yeah, so I did the high school college thing. And college, it's funny, my first 2 years, I changed my major all the time. Until I landed on English. But before that, I think at one point I was pre-med, and my parents told my like middle school science teacher, who literally said, "Nikki, your child is pre-med, the one who did her science experiment on nail polish." And I was like, yeah, yeah, that one. But I was only pre-med for like a hot minute. I think I changed my major to pre-med over the summer and then changed it to something else also over the summer. So didn't last long, but I was an English major. I wanted to be a journalist. I've always loved writing. I used to write poetry as a kid. And at one point, I had the desire to be an actress. I think that's always been within me, but I was really, one, part shy about it, and two, really self-conscious about it. So I never went for it. It was just all mindset stuff. But I said, you know what?
You got over that. You got over that because
I did.
I've
I
seen
totally got
some
over
of your
that.
videos where you were advising people that were shy about going live, like on Facebook, to just put lipstick on and stick your finger in a light socket or something for your hair, and and you're good enough.
That was exactly what I said. That was the exact advice. I'm so glad you got that as the takeaway.
Uh-huh.
No, but it's like just doing it and over and over and over again, you get comfortable.
Mhm.
And I got comfortable maybe later than I wanted to, because I thought I was going to be a journalist, worked at a news station and all that jazz. And then when I graduated, even thought I was going to go to Berkeley for grad school for journalism, like spoke to admissions, asked how I could get in. And they suggested, since I was in the New York area, to do a summer program that both NYU and Columbia had at the time on, book and magazine publishing, to really get into the get training. They had experts come in. And what ended up happening is I met all the editorial people, I met all the marketing people, and all the marketing people seemed really fun. And next thing I knew, I was working at InStyle magazine in the marketing department and not working.
Which magazine was
as a
it?
journalist. InStyle.
Oh, I thought you said incel, which is a really derogatory name for a guy.
Did not know that. Not that magazine, InStyle.
Yeah.
Fashion magazines.
Okay. All right, but you had a long career marketing tech companies, though. I mean, you didn't. Nothing you've said to this point says tech at all.
Yeah, no, it's interesting how I got there, and I think for me, I was at InStyle. It was an internship a paid internship after I graduated, so I was there for maybe like 6 months, and then one of their sister publications had an job opening that I was recommended for, and I hated it. And I quit after 6 months. And I remember the publisher pulling me in and telling me that's what's wrong with millennials, because we don't stay long. I was like, you want to know what's wrong with your company? I was like, I may be quitting, but I had like 3 bosses in a 6-month period. Like, it was just a dysfunctional place. I was like, goodbye. And so I left that, ended up in advertising, working on Kraft Foods account and working ridiculous hours. And I'm like, I'm not saving lives here. I'm placing ads. But there were times where I was on call in case like the client had an emergency when we were on launch. And so I talked to my clients, and their life seemed a little bit better. So I asked them what to do. And they all suggested I go back to school, get my MBA, and then use that as a pathway into client side. So I went back to school, got my MBA, thought I was going to work at consumer product goods. So I took an internship. Yeah, exactly. Or Starbucks. And I took an internship at Coca-Cola between my first and second year of grad school, and don't drink soda. And I was just like, and it just was not a fit. And no offense to Atlanta, but I wasn't down with Atlanta. And so I was
God, all this stuff, you must be 90 years old by now.
No, I was, oh my goodness.
You don't look it.
No, I was 20. How old was I was maybe 26.
All this stuff by
when I graduated.
26. Wow.
I was 25 when I went into grad school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was 25 when I went into grad school. Graduated at 20, like right before my 27th birthday, I think. Took a job, and this is what ended up happening. I knew I didn't want to work in consumer product goods, so I just applied to a bunch of jobs, and Intel offered me a digital marketing job, which I was really excited about, because to that time I had only worked on print. I only worked in magazines, and we can see how popular, print is going now. So
that was a good move.
Yeah, so I did digital marketing at Intel. I was there for a number of years doing social media marketing for them, digital marketing for them, influencer marketing for them. And I got to work on a lot of really cool stuff for a while. And I left primarily because I found out that ovarian cancer ran in my family.
Oh,
And my aunt was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. And this is my mom's sister. My mom's mom had passed away from ovarian cancer, so we're like, we got to do some testing here. And then we found out my aunt had what's called the BRCA2 gene. And I don't know if people remember, but in I think it was 2011. No, it must have been 2013. Around 2013, I believe it was. Angelina Jolie wrote an op-ed for the New York
yeah.
Times. Yeah, and so in her family, she had tested for the BRCA1 gene, which means you're at high risk for breast cancer. And then the BRCA2 gene means you're at high risk for ovarian cancer. And when that article came out, I was going to be tested because my mom tested positive, my aunt tested positive. So my sister and I had to get tested. We both tested negative, which is good. But at the end of the day, I was like, you know what? Life is too short and I don't want to spend it in a cubicle. So I quit without a plan, went to Mexico for a couple of weeks, and while I was in Mexico, had a panic attack because I was making six figures for a number of years at this point. And I was like, what the heck am I going to do for money? And I ended up taking a job at a tech startup as head of marketing for less than 2 years. I didn't make it 2 years. And I was just like, what the hell am I doing? I know I want to work for myself. And then I officially screwed the commute and was like, peace, I'm out.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
What a, keep it simple.
Maybe that's why I tell people to keep it simple, because I'm like, I did too many complicated things. So
All right. So did you have money saved up, or were you broke at the time when you transitioned to your own business, or how did you make the transition? Was it keep the job and start the transition, or just cold turkey stop and start the business, or what?
yeah, I was a bit cold turkey. So when I left Intel, I saved my paycheck. I knew I was leaving.
When you left, I know, I kind of remember their stock really took a dive. Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
when I left, their stock actually did take a dive, and I had left, and I had all this stock, and I was like, maybe I should sell my stock. And so I had a lot of stock with them. I had saved a lot of my money. I had moved into a cheaper apartment, saved money, and was planning on leaving. I knew I was leaving.
Where was it?
And I was living in Portland, Oregon.
Oh, this is Portland. Okay.
Yeah, I moved around a lot.
Yeah.
So I was living in Portland, Oregon. I was ready to leave, and I ended up giving them, I think, 3 months notice or something. I
Oh,
wasn't
3 months.
gonna tell them that far in advance, but
Mm.
my boss was trying to get me to go on this trip, and I was like, that's gonna be 2 weeks before my planned last day, and that's not. I was like, I can't have them. One, I didn't want to go, and two, I didn't want them to pay for it and then get mad that I
Right,
already
yeah,
knew I was
right.
leaving. So I was like, send this other person because I'm leaving.
Yeah. Wow.
And it wasn't them, it was just me. It was like, I knew in my core that I wasn't meant for that life. And so I had money then. And then when I left the tech startup, I had money set aside, but I also was, at that point, I had a side hustle from that gig where I was teaching digital marketing courses for a company called General Assembly. And so I was making maybe an extra 20 grand a year doing that, maybe even more, that I was just saving. So by the time I quit my job, I had decent money saved up, but I also got clients really quickly because I had made relationships with people. At this point, I was living in Boston because, I move around a lot. So I was living in Boston, and I made a lot of connections with the Boston startup folks. And so I was able to get clients pretty quickly when I left my job.
Wow. 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 What a, what a path to get there. But so we got to take a brief sponsor break. When we come back, we're going to ask Nikki what a typical day looks like for her, how she stays motivated, and she's probably got some stuff to give you. So about, let's say 22 years ago, I kind of turned the internet marketing guru world on its head, and that guys like me were charging 50 or 100 grand up front to teach this stuff to small business people. And I knew a lot of these people. You give them 50 or 100 grand up front, they'd be I don't know, hiding out in Boston and Portland and New York like Nikki all the time. So they never help you. So I said, oh, this is not right for small business. I'm going to charge an entry fee, and then I'm going to tie myself to their success. So for me to make my 50 grand, they had to make 200 grand. And boy, did they like this. And 1,700 plus students later and 22 years, it's still going strong. And it's the longest running, most unique, most successful mentor program in the field of internet marketing ever. And you say, well, how could you say that? Well, I've triple dog dared people for years to put their program up against mine, and nobody will do it because they'll crawl away under a rock because of all the unique features of mine. One of which is a unique immersion visit at the retreat center here in Virginia Beach. It's a big multi-million-dollar facility. It's got its own TV studio, and you actually stay in the house here with me for an immersion weekend. Then all our training is one-on-one. So I don't like group training, because if you're in with if I'm talking to the advanced people, the new people are lost. And if I'm talking to the new people, the advanced people are bored. So it's just not efficient for us to get to our financial goals. And then you have everything is, like I said, is one-on-one, not only with me, but all my staff that will make appointments with you, take your computer over, show you where to click. It's all one-on-one at your level. Wherever you are, we can take you to the next level. And then you have the scholarship to the school. We had one guy spend 80 grand on his daughter's crappy education, and she's working a crappy job. And the last time I talked to her was, I don't know, about a month ago. She's up to $6,000 a month as a side hustle with, a couple of months left in the school yet. She's not even graduated. So it's very unique. Nobody can put a program up next to mine. So check it out at greatinternetmarketingtraining.com, greatinternetmarketingtraining.com, and give me a call. I'm very accessible. That's another thing, is like nobody at my level will even talk to you, let alone teach you anything. So give me a call. We'll talk about your future online and what we can do for your kids, grandchildren, and nieces and nephews in our school. All right, let's get back to the main event. Nikki Nash is here. She is a superstar, dynamo, Hay House author, podcast host, and business advisor. And she moves around a lot, so I'm hoping she's still here after the break so that I can find her to ask her the rest of the questions. So Nikki, what's a typical day look like for you?
Oh, so a typical day, and it took me some time to get here. So if you ever want to know what my days used to look like, I'm more than happy to share. But today, I mainly spend my time in probably 3 core areas, and that's a lot of content creation. So being a guest on podcasts, doing my own podcast, writing books, writing articles, going live, videos, things like that. Like I feel like at my core, I'm a content creator, creating trainings for my members in my membership site, all that jazz. And then the other area would be client time. So I have private clients. I have people in the membership or in like a higher level group program sort of thing. So client time with them. And then the other part of my day is usually either team management, like making sure my team is set up, squared to go if they have any questions. And I like to also throw in a decent amount of white space where I can just think and create and like get my life together. So that's what my days typically look like, is like a combination of those sort of activities.
But do you get up early? Do you work out? Do you have any kind of routine? In a mastermind that we're in, we talk about morning routines, which I don't have, and I would never keep up with it if I did. But do you have one?
Yeah, so I'm a morning person, and I'm really curious to figure out if I'm a morning person because I'm just naturally a morning person, or if because my mom would wake me up in the morning all the time because I'm the oldest to tell me a list of things to do. And she was leaving for work, and I was like, yo, it's like 6 a.m, Mom. Like, what are you doing to me? So I tend to wake up early. I go to the gym. I used to kind of pre-COVID would go to the gym at 5 a.m.
Oh my God.
Post-COVID, it's nice I go at 7. So
Oh,
I
geez.
sleep in a little bit. But yeah, I go to the gym most days, and then kind of come home, shower, eat breakfast, meditate a little bit. And I like to start my day with the most important things. So first thing, if when I start working, I have like my top 3, like what are the 3 things I have to get done today? Or sometimes it's what's the one thing you absolutely have to get done today. and I knock that out first so that I don't get distracted or derailed or anything.
Wow. So you're working from home, and you have been in environments with massive people around all the time in these big companies. But so how do you keep yourself motivated?
Oh my goodness. Well, let's start with the fact that I actually love being alone.
Yeah, I do too.
I was the person at the office who would purposely put in headphones, even if I wasn't listening to anything, hoping that people wouldn't talk to me. And people always wanted to talk to me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just want to be by myself and do some stuff. like,
I know the feeling. I'm in 11,000 square feet here by myself with 2 dogs, and thrilled to death about it.
yep. So I love being alone. No offense to people. I love people, but I think I get energy, I get rejuvenated by myself, and then I can go out and be with the people. But to stay motivated, it's a couple of things. It's I tend to really spend time visualizing where I want to go and getting clear on that, and I'll either write it a bunch of times or I'll read it over and over again, because I just feel like a naturally creative person and I constantly have ideas. And so I always like to kind of refocus and remember, like, what is it that you actually want? Where is it that you're actually going? Is any of this in alignment with that, or is it a distraction? And so that helps me a lot. I try to celebrate wins as often as I can. And then when I make mistakes or we have losses or we don't hit goals, which happens all the time, it's inevitable. I really try to figure out why, like what went wrong. And so like Six Sigma has, like, you asked 5 whys. I know Dean Graziosi has 7 whys. So I just like ask myself, why do I think this happened? Why do I think that happened? Over and over and over again until I get at the root cause of why I think things went wrong. And that motivates me and makes me feel better, because whenever, I don't win at something or like something doesn't go right, it can be a little bit demotivate, like, I was like, demoralizing isn't the right word. It could be like, it could be demotivating. And
Hmm.
so I try to kind of get at the core of why, so that I can go, okay, well, that's why. And now I can do better next time. So those things help me. And to stay focused during the day, I feel silly, but it works for me. I set timers. So I go, Nikki, you have to do this thing, but you only have 30 minutes, or you only have 45 minutes, or you only have an hour, and I'll set a timer. And usually I usually get like 80 to 90% of the way there in the time that I've given myself. But then I only need like an extra 5-10 minutes. And that is way better than if I'm just like, do these things today. Next thing you know, I'm like, what did I do today? I haven't done anything.
Well, great attitude on keeping yourself motivated. So tell them how they get a hold of you. And didn't you have something for them?
Yeah, so I have a free marketing boot camp that I do. I do it regularly live, but then if it's not live right away, you can always watch the latest recording. And it's super easy. It's at freemarketingbootcamp.com. So you can check that out there, and you can always connect with me on the Market Your Genius podcast. I am around.
Awesome. Yeah. So we'll have all that in the show notes for everybody. This is episode 392. And of course, to get to episodes, you go to screwthecommute.com and then the episode number 392. Nikki Nash. And she says, keep it simple, Sista. So thanks so much for coming on and telling your story. It's very inspiring for a lot of people out there.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a lot of fun, Tom.
All right, everybody. We will catch you all